The factory where I worked had modern machinery for that day and age, which was 1948, which seems like history to all of you. And there was a machine called a comptometer, which the operator would work out anything, well, calculate anything. Now, the people in the office were working out the hours and marking down on the clock cards what people should be, how many hours they should be paid. But the comptometer operators worked out how much money it would be. And I was quite mystified to see these girls pounding on these machines and at a huge speed. And often I would be the one to take the cards down to them to work out. And after they'd worked it out, they would bring them back to the pay office, and then we would know how much people were going to be paid. So my boss at the time had an idea that he would like to have a comptometer in the pay office. And so he asked me if I would like to learn how to work it. And I thought, my goodness, I was never very good at arithmetic in school, and I knew it was all to do with arithmetic. But I said yes, because I thought, well, I'll get a lot more money if I do that. And so I said yes. Now, there was a lady from South Africa who was the head of the comptometer pool, and she had had a very bad adder bite at Trencrom, and so she was off work. And my boss, who was a friend of this lady, said, why don't I get her to train you if you go up to her house every morning? So I went up to her house for about 6 weeks every morning, and she certainly trained me, because she was a person who used to work for the stock exchange, and that was really prestigious in those days, to work in London for the stock exchange. And so I had like a one-to-one training with her, and then I came back and I was the comptometer operator of the office. But it was quite hard work, because you had to press, and I expect we're going to have a picture put up beside. You had to press the keys every time you needed anything. And so actually it was quite a neck straining work. And you also had to get up a speed, a real speed. Now, the comptometer, I think, was an American invention. And in America, it would be a lot more simple to use, because everything in those days, well, still is, always was, metric. And in England, we had 12 pennies in a shilling and 20 shillings in a pound, which meant that we had to make a decimal figure on which to work. And one I particularly remember is that a penny to a pound was 0.0041666 recurring. And all those figures had to be held manually if you had something with a penny on it. So the thing was that you worked out your own methods of making it more speedy to do, because if you look at the picture, you'll see that on the back keys, when you get up to 11, that there's a lot of travel on that key, which would cut down speed and also require a lot of manipulation. And so people used to work out their own little methods, like press 5 twice instead of 10 and things like that, you see, in order to add up, because you had to add it up at quite a speed if you had a huge column to do. And if you had to multiply, you worked by what they call reciprocals. If you knew how to work out a reciprocal, which we did. But the main thing that I used to dread was when the people from the tool office came up and asked me to work out a square root, which was no mean feat on the comptometer. And I always knew that these people had already worked it all out on a slide rule. And so I used to be really nervous, and all fingers and thumbs, I used to think, when I was doing it. It was quite difficult. And also the comptometer worked in conjunction with another system which was operating in the factory, which was called a Powers-Samus system. Well, I was working with this comptometer for quite a while, and electric comptometers were as scarce as hen's teeth. And one day I came in, and where I had left it, my desk as I packed up every night, the cover was there as usual. And then he waited for me to take the cover off, and underneath there was this marvelous electric comptometer, which of course took all the work out of pressing, because as you press, the keys responded to you immediately. And I was so pleased about this, and he was chuffed to see me be so thrilled with it. But after that, work was a pleasure. There was hardly any more manual pressing then, because you just touch the keys. Still harder than the keyboards, but better than the old manual one.